Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today in this video I'm just going to rant for a short bit because something that I don't understand, because I come from a different generation, I'm obviously an older guy, is this newer mentality that's coming out from guys who are saying, I don't want to be strong, I just want to be big, or I don't want to be strong, I just want to look like I'm really strong. And this is just such a foreign concept to me coming from a different generation. When someone says that, literally the thing that goes through my mind is, but you're going to go through the gym and put in the time and you still want to stay weak. You're not going to try to focus on strength at all. And it's very difficult to gain size without getting stronger. It's insanely difficult unless you just keep upping the dose on your drugs. And if you're drug free, it's almost impossible to do, if not impossible, to any large degree. And even with drugs, if you're not getting stronger, you're going to have to keep increasing the dose of your drugs forever. Every time you want to grow, you're going to add another 100 milligrams. Add another 100 milligrams a week. You're going to be on a perpetual cycle to where you're taking 3,000 or 4,000 milligrams of steroids a week to keep making gains because you refuse to focus on strength at all. It's just silly. And to me, I really hear it as someone saying, yeah, I want to go save up my money and go to the Ferrari dealership and buy a Ferrari. It looks really good, but I want to see if they'll put a little 4-cylinder engine in it with 100 horsepower. Because I don't want the really fast, high-performing engine. I just want the car to look fast. I don't want it to actually be fast. And I'm going to save all my money and put all this effort into buying it. Or it's like saying, yeah, I want to go get one of these penis expander devices, and I want to get a penis that's 10 inches long when it's limp and flaccid, but it doesn't get completely hard ever. What's the point? And I guess it's, again, comes to the generation that I come from, was that most bodybuilders still trained for strength. They still had an interest in powerlifting. They cared what their 1 rep max was on their bench or their squat. They actually cared. And people like football players, powerlifters, bodybuilders, we'd all train together at the same gyms. It was just one big circle. It was just people in the iron game, and everybody trained heavy and hard. We didn't really have recreational lifters calling themselves bodybuilders. And even though the bodybuilders, not all of them focused specifically on, say, their max on their big 3, they still focused on getting really strong. In case in point, one guy I knew who probably had the best physique that I've ever met outside of someone who was a professional bodybuilder. To use the term to the younger guys, he was aesthetic as fuck. The guy was like 40 years old, around 5'9". He weighed anywhere from 200 up to 215 from time to time, depending on if he was bulking, cutting. But he stayed lean. Even when he was bulking, you could still see separation and a split between his upper and lower chest, and he was a tank top. He had that deep split. You could see a split between all 3 heads of his delts. I don't think I ever saw him above about 9% body fat. Ever, even on a bulk. The guy had great proportions, and he looked fantastic. He always looked impressive as hell to me. I never had as good of a physique as him. There were times when I knew him when I was bigger than him and stronger than him, but he always looked better than me by a pretty large margin. But he wasn't a weak guy. The guy never did singles. He only trained in the 5 to 8 rep range. He was real big on Dorian Yates' style training, so he had a pretty small exercise selection, and he focused on, as he described it, intensity, which meant he was always trying to get stronger in the 5 to 8 rep range. And he was a pretty strong guy. He didn't do any touch and go training. Everything was pause work or rest pause training. But I had seen the guy do ass to grass pause squats with a 2-second pause at the bottom. I've seen him do 8 reps with 405 pounds. I'd seen the guy incline bench 315 for 8 reps with a 1 count pause on his chest for every rep. I've seen the guy crank out dead hang chin-ups, weighing over 200 pounds, mind you, with a pair of 45-pound plates, so 90 pounds hanging from a chain on his belt. I've seen the guy crank out something like 6 or 7, because he used to do it all the time, chin-ups from a dead hang with that weight. So that's right at 300 pounds being chinned up from a full dead hang stretch. So he was not a weak guy. He cared about his strength and continually getting stronger. It just happened to be in the rep range that he was working with, and with perfect form and technique. The guy's technique looked exactly the same on every single rep that he did. Nothing was ever sloppy. But that's what we always saw back then. Everyone still cared about their strength. And so to me, this whole concept with these guys coming up with these ideas is really foreign to me. And I think what most of you are going to find is that there are very, very few guys out there, even whose goals are physique, who develop truly impressive physiques who are not also strong. The two tend to go hand in hand. You're going to find that those who are able to do it without gaining a very, very large amount of strength, or focusing on gaining strength and progression, they're going to be the exception to the rule, not the norm. And in my experience, most of the time, those who continue to pull it off are generally just upping the dose on their drugs continually, because they don't actually know how to train, and they're actually using training ideas that aren't really going to work for them in the long term. And it's just something that seems to be growing more and more in the community, and it's something that I felt that needed to be addressed, that I wanted to talk about for a few minutes. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time, because I got to go put in a second session today.